Welcome back to another video, guys. So for this one, I thought I'd dive into, because I've been talking a lot about abusive relationships and all the rigmarole that comes with it and all the stuff that I went through. And I actually got asked this question tonight because I was asking what topics people wanted to hear about or whatever, and one of the topics was what, like, okay, how do I rephrase this? So, like, what's it like being in a non-abusive relationship? So for me, I've had a few since the abusive relationship, and yes, I did take some time off of dating for sure. After everything took place, like it was 8 or so years after, just to work on me. And then when I thought, I was ready to get back into it, I ended up getting into a relationship that seemed okay in the beginning, and then it turned very toxic, and I ended that relationship. Well, it was kind of like a mutual parting of a lot of toxic stuff. So, it was a mutual parting. And then I got involved with a really good friend of mine who I worked with. And again, I talked about this before. So he was literally my first non-abusive partner. And it was extremely different and scary. Because my abuse situation was so, there was a lot. I was trying to look for the right word, but there was a lot of abuse from different parties and different situations. It was interesting because I trusted him as a coworker and as a friend, but as we started to get involved, we didn't plan for this to happen. We didn't it just happened that we ended up being more than friends, and it was a whole different trust I had to build with that person. And once I shared my abuse story with them, first of all, we weren't even in a relationship when they heard this story. We were actually in a snowstorm, and the power was out. We all got stuck together, and it was a few coworkers and stuff, and we just got talking, and then one thing led to another, and my story came out. And from that point on, none of my coworkers changed. They didn't change the way they treated me. They didn't treat me like I was broken or anything. We all had an equal respect for each other. And when I ended up getting into a relationship, non-relationship, and yes, I see Eeyore in the background, because we didn't really put a title on it. It wasn't important to us. It was interesting because I had to learn how to trust another human being. And I built walls around myself. Of course I did, to protect myself and to never let myself get into a situation like that again. And it changed me. It was such a culture shock to know that there was nice human beings out there, which is weird because I knew that there are nasty humans out there, but there are nice humans. I've had a best friend for over, at that point it was 15 years. I knew there was good people out there. However, it changes when you're in a relationship because I was so used to people changing. When they got into a relationship, then the abuse would start, And this didn't happen with this person. It was so refreshing and new and exciting and scary. You know, we hung out a lot and he cooked me dinner and, you know, we went to a movie and we danced in the kitchen and we just had a good time. You know, we got to know each other, his backstories and stuff. And whenever, you know, my anxiety or depression would kick in, you know, he didn't ask, like, oh, what I can do. Like, I always hate when people, like, oh, there's nothing I can do. I wish I could do something. He was never like that. He was just very, he knew, like, it's strange enough. He really knew me, so he knew when to give me my space. And he, you know, respected that. And he also knew when I needed somebody there. You know, he just knew without me saying anything, without any words, he just knew that I needed somebody. Whether it was close by or not close by, like, he just stayed by me, you know. He let me work through my emotions and me being scared. And, you know, he was dealing with stuff too, so we were able to help each other in a very off-balance way. Like, it was a very smooth and rocky relationship at the same time. You know, it was weird because there was just one moment we were in the kitchen and he just came up behind me and, like, hugged me, you know, and, like, kissed my cheek. And I was cooking near the stove and stuff, and he wanted to, like, make sure, like, oh, you know, do you need anything and whatnot, and just to say hi. And I remember breaking down in tears, just completely breaking down. And because I felt so safe and so loved. And it was just peace and quiet, you know? There was no bullshit. There was no lies. There was no deceit in between us. It was just me and him. And we could be totally honest and respectful. And for the first time in forever, I felt extremely safe. So he turned the stove off, picked me up, and sat with me on the couch. And, like, you know, we just sat there in quiet for a little bit. And then we talked, and, like, I explained what I was feeling, what I was going through. And that was the first time that, like, in a relationship that my partner touched me, not in a sexual way, but just, like, physically touched me. And I felt so safe. And, like, it was a gentle touch. There was no, you know, pain involved. And that was another thing, like, that physical touch. Like, I had to learn that it wasn't evil. That, you know, like, somebody could hug me and in a loving way. And, you know, I had to learn that. Like, I wasn't used to that. I never had that in a relationship before. And I just remember feeling peace and love, which is so weird. Like, I was never used to that. And we really, truly loved each other. And this had to be one of the hardest decisions we've had to make, was to separate. Due to the fact that he was called back into service with the Canadian Army. And, you know, he didn't know how long he was going to be gone. And he knew when he came back that he had to work on some shit, that he was going to come back with a lot of baggage. And he did not want to put me through that. And he also did not want me to put me through the fact that, you know, if he didn't come back, all the what ifs, you know, he wanted me to live and have a good life. You know, he didn't want me to be stuck. So we ended up breaking up. And we're still really good friends today. To this day, I should say, speak English. And it's interesting because we still really, really love each other. And like, he's grown as a person, I've grown as a person. But then, life happens and other relationships happen. And it's just, it sucks because, like, there was no, like, I mean, we had our tiffs, me and him. We fought, but we worked through them. We worked on them together. We were very honest to each other, and I think that's the only relationship that I've actually had 100% honesty in it. Like, nobody was trying to hide anything from me. I wasn't trying to hide anything from them. Not that I do in a relationship. Just sometimes, like, I just don't talk through my feelings, and he was really respectful of that and treated me nicely, and we treated each other as equals. We didn't hold one person higher than the other. We just treated each other as equals. And as I went into other relationships, I'm not one to compare. I'm not. I kind of put, like, each relationship kind of like on its own, and I go in with a fresh mind. And I've been hurt really, really badly, and trust has been blown to shits, and those backstabbing and deceit, and I've been truly brought to my knees again in pain in a relationship. And for me, that wasn't a foreign thing. That was completely, like, it was weird because when all that stuff happened, it was kind of just like, oh, welcome back to this kind of, reality, I kind of sometimes look back on that relationship that I had with that person and be like, wow, that was a dream, right? Relationships can't truly be like that, like, right? And it's just, love can be painful and it can be hard, but it's just, like, like, I know relationships are hard. I'm not stupid or, blind to that. Like, I know relationships take a lot of work and time, and, being able to build and grow together. And yes, there's going to be fights and disagreements and whatnot, but there shouldn't be pain that brings you to your knees, And if you do get to that point, you have to be willing to either get up, stand on your own, and, move past it. Or, you don't want to get stuck in this thing of like, oh, I want to stay with this person, and then just kind of walking on eggshells waiting till the next time that the person hurts you, kind of like, oh, I'm going to expect this. So it's like, that type of thing. And, that's not what I'm doing at all. I'm figuring out things. I mean, there's no manual on how to be in a relationship, and there shouldn't be, because everybody's different, and, all the life lessons that you learn, and then you can, like, move forward and try to figure it out. And, I'm very lucky that I have a wonderful and amazing support system from friends, including my ex. Like, he's awesome, and he's there for me to support me and talk with me. And, again, that's a tricky situation because I don't want to, like, hurt him. But he just doesn't want to see me hurt and in pain, and, which is true. And, like, I respect that. And, like, I don't lean on him as much as I used to because I don't I don't want him to feel bad for me. I'm like, I don't need pity. He would never pity me, honestly, guys. He would never pity me at all. But, I'm really lucky that I can hold on to him as a friend, and, other friends that came with the package. They're really awesome and supportive, and, they respect me and I respect them. That's what it comes down to. What I'm, respect. And physical abuse. That's really shitty, and that's what I was used to for a very long time. And then, I'm not stubborn. I don't like to give up easily. Like, I want to work through the problems, and that's kind of where I'm at, like, right now, trying to figure out, working through the problems and stuff in life. And for me, coming from, like, an abusive relationship with multiple abuse partners / other abuse coming from, a lot of other people, to working on myself for 8 years, went into a relationship, ended up being crap and toxic, and then I moved on to a really, really, really nice, wholesome relationship that ended mutual parting, to a other relationship that was tricky and started off really rocky. Not gonna lie, we did not start on a good foot. I was not respected in that manner, and again, that was me coming from, oh, I'm not respected. I'm kind of used to that kind of momentum and mortality, which is really, really shitty. And it's, and it was really good and stuff, and of course fighting and whatnot took place, and then some, like, betrayal, backstabbing, and no respect again from me took place. So there's been a lot of moving parts in my life, and one thing I want to make clear is that my goal is to not get into an abusive relationship ever again. I know that kind of sounds like petty, like, really, that's a goal in life. But no, like, I just want to be with somebody that respects and loves me and wants to grow and build and work at our relationship, And that's kind of, like, where I'm at in life, like, like, there is a major difference that I've seen and kind of where I want in life, and I'm willing to 100% put in the work and be there for my partner and, work at it and just be there. I just want them to respect me and trust me and love me, and want to grow together and, build together, and not me, putting in, 150% and them just putting in, like, 50%. It's like, it sounds kind of 50-50, but not every day is going to be 50-50. Some days the partner's going to have to pick up the slack, and then there's going to be other days where I have to pick up the slack, or we put in a lot more. It's a lot of work, and not every day, again, is going to be 50-50. And you kind of just have to figure it out and have communication and that. And I'm very, very thankful that I was able to get out of my abusive relationship and situation and physical place. I know a lot of people aren't lucky like that, and it really, it sucks to be in a really abusive relationship. It is draining. It rips you apart into millions of pieces, and trying to put those millions of pieces back together, it's shitty. Because you're not the same person as you were before, the abusive relationship, and sometimes you kind of want to force yourself to be that person, but unfortunately you're not that person, right? And it's kind of like, well, after, kind of gluing the pieces back together, it's like, you want to move on with your life, but it is extremely, extremely hard. So my 2 cents is, and again, you guys do not have to listen to me, this is just, something that I've learned, so take it with a grain of salt, is after an abusive relationship, take time to focus on yourself. If you're very lucky enough to get out of the relationship, don't go rushing into another relationship. Again, not everybody does this, but some people do. But definitely take time for yourself, and don't be hard on yourself if it's years. Guys, honestly, I know some people in my life, they're like, oh, well, I'm lonely. Like, that's the excuse that they use, is I'm lonely and I need physical touch with somebody. And I get that, and it's very hard to be away from that situation if you're that type of person. But honestly, working on yourself is the best thing you can do for your future partner. Because if you are not ready for a relationship, like physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that, it will fuck you hard. It will destroy you, and you're gonna try to please people. And sorry if you hear my dogs barking in the background. Those are windstorm and they're just barking at that. But yeah, you have to be ready for yourself, and you'll know when you're ready and really ready for a relationship. But again, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying you have to listen to me. Just, you have to do what's best for you, and you have to take care of yourself and love yourself and respect yourself. Again, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying you have to listen to that. I'm just saying, that's just what I've learned. Anyways, guys, this is a different type of video, and I hope you guys enjoyed my ramble on about multiple situations and stories and my journey of learning. Anyways, guys, I'll leave you here. Remember, never give up, always keep fighting. You're enough, and you're very much loved. Until the next video, love you guys.